How you doing, Ralfy? Ralfy Customs. Now then, I lost a video. It's the first time it's happened really for quite some time, so you've missed out on a couple of bits, I'm afraid. It was all made and produced and uploaded, and then it all went tits up. My backup's not worked either, so you can't see it. I'll show you what I did, and here's what you could have watched. On our Carstens bobber, we've done the more or less the final bits. We've fabricated this lovely king and queen seat base, which is, excuse me, something I don't do very often. And you would have had a video of me making doing my CAD work, cutting and welding shit, knocking it into shape and making this seat base. So I'm afraid you have missed out. You might have seen a post I put up with a picture of it and the expectations of doing a live premiere. So we could have a bit of bants in the comment section and it's all gone tits up. Sorry about that. I will try better in the future. What we're doing today is working on our finger bobs frame. I've kind of done a bit of this in the background because I've had to get other stuff done as well. He's got this Hard Up Customs that are now Gasoline Alley. This is one of the Hard Up Customs ones from back in the day. And we had to fit the engine. He brought it to me without the engine in. So he already had the plates, or some plates. It's been mounted in before, but it weren't right or something. I'm not sure what's gone on, to be honest. But I've had to do a bit of a clean up. And we've got the rear mounts on. And today we're going to get the front mounts on. These tubes are a bit out, so they're going to slightly differ. Can't use the plates that he's provided. And we're going to get the bottom mounts on. And the tank mounts, hopefully. We're going to see if we can mount his petrol tank and maybe even his seat. We'll see how we get on. So what we've done, we've made these countersunk mounts, short ones. Hold on, I'm telling you wrong. Short ones for the top and long ones for the bottom. But we're going to use a bit of all thread because we ain't got any Allen bolts that long. But they will take a nice countersunk cap head, will sit in there. And then we're going to get them bolted up and measure the gaps and see how much longer each plate needs to be. Got both of those plates off and we've measured the gaps between the mounts and the frame tube, and they are quite a bit out. There's 5mm out. This one needs to be +7 longer and this one needs to be +12 longer. So for the first one we've made a mark at 7mm off the edge of this sheet. I know that's square. And all I'm going to do is get that in there on the 7mm mark, draw around it with my super duper Happy Days pen. Let me just square that off. Get in there with the square. Like that. So there's one. Once we've cut it out, we'll transfer punch the holes through. We'll do that one at the top and move it down and do those two at the bottom, and then we'll do the same with that one. Make a 12mm line, put it up here, fucking square it off. We'll do a square line to start with. So we'll start it off there, go 12mm, draw around it, bobs you're onto.
Don't forget, folks, our Fuckstock stickers are now available in our Etsy store, link in the description below. Fuckstock, you know it makes sense.
So we've got them cut and shaped and looking lovely. we know that the different sizes, so we're going to mark them up for future reference. This one's the right one, so we're going to stamp on our lot. If these stamps are any fucking good, which probably not, let's give it a little love tap. Not quite got it. We can feel that back in place, so it lines up with itself, and then give it a bit more on the left hand side, and that's not made a bad R. And then we can transfer punch these holes through, lining that up like we did when we made the plate, and go through with an 8mm transfer punch, give it a little tap, hold it in place and check that nothing's moved, and then go again on this side, and then line the top up with the centre each side, take it up to the top where we need it, and then we're in with a 10mm punch. Keep it nice and square and give that a little tap. It don't matter that it's moved, as long as this don't move. We can double check it, make sure they're square, make sure that's on the top. Everyone's a winner. Hold it in place, give it a little tap. Sorted. So we've ended up with those plates cleaned up and drilled, transfer punch like we showed you. And we've got a short mount on the top and a long mount on the bottom, and if there's a combination of doing 3 things on 2 plates, we've done it every fucking way to try and fit it, the pair of us. We've made a right fucking song and dance out of it, but that's a Monday morning thing, I guess. Now, because they're rubber and you can't fucking bollock this up in the engine, all you can do is get that centered and fucking give it a bit of gravity, lean on it. Like, you could probably get a G-clamp or something in there and squeeze it up, which is what I might do. And then we can tack them bits on. Right, because these tops that you can't see very well are on fucking rubbers. I never understood that, because the rest of the mounts on the bike are fucking solid on the engine. Because they're on rubbers, there's nothing, you can't get a bolt all the way through because this casing's in the way. I've seen them before where they have a tube that stops shit getting into the gap and have a great long bolt that pulls the rubbers tight. This is not that. This has not got that. So because of that, I put a little C-clamp on. And we don't want to go mad. If we really squeeze the top, the bottom's going to fucking poke its lip out, isn't it? Like a badly fitting fucking thong. And it's going to piss these up, which is not what we want. So we've just tweaked it, just nipped it. So it's just squeezing that rubber, bit of anti-spatter, and we'll get a couple of tacks on each one. And then they're good as fucking sorted. So with them in place and stamped up, do you know what, even though I've stamped her, I'm tempted to drill a relief hole in there. But then it's really going to fucking, it's not going to work, is it? Because that one's 7mm fucking shorter, so, don't know, I'll think about that. That's not vital at the minute. What it is getting this bottom mount in, and these plates supplied are too short to reach the frame. It would have had, looking at the bits that came with it, something like that. I'm also thinking the engine sat slightly lower based on that. The problem with that is that these front rails flare out the lower you go, and you're already tight on the fucking exhaust. So if you drop the engine anymore, you've got even less room for the exhaust because they're even wider. So I'm happy with where the engine sits. I think what we're going to do is use the original front plates, trim the bottom off just to lose the holes, and that should get us just shy of this, which is bob on for a bracket like that, if not them brackets cleaned up, which will probably be quicker than making new ones and more suited to Fingerbob's work brief. But I know, I won't tell you what Josh has just said about caving someone's head in, because you might get the wrong impression about the sweet, sensitive young man that he is. We have cut them off, re-drilled the holes, used the old plates, and we found out that they're not the fucking same like everything else on this. These plates that I'm about to weld on the frame, the holes weren't quite in line with each other, so when I made these as a match pair, like you always should, they didn't quite line up, but we've enlarged the holes ever so slightly to get around that. It's just typical of this. So they're ready for a weld on, and then you nut and bolt them through. This one shows it a bit clearer. There you go, nut and bolt them through. I'll weld these tabs on, we'll get them tacked on, and then that is the engine well and fucking truly mounted. Next up, we're going to clean this off, get the tank on, and then mount the seat. Right, quick and nasty on the front here. I remember making this for our finger bob a little while ago, and he's tacked it on and ground it off by the looks of it. Focus, for fuck's sake. It's not very focused, is it? So what I've done is, well, what we've done is we've used the angle box to get it flat based on this strip, which is probably not flat, and a lot of eyeballing to make sure that it's not pissed up, although nothing's round and nothing's square, so I'm not 100%, but I don't think that is a fucking mile off. It doesn't help that this tab has got an hole in that I've covered with a clamp that you can't see, and it's not in the fucking middle. No surprises there, is there? That tab is not in the middle of the tank, or the hole's not in the middle of the tank. So I might fuck that off and redo it. Might not, but I might. And then do the other side a quick tap. Sorted. So with that front mount in place, we are now going to put a bigger than I normally do M10 threaded boss in the back of the frame here, so we can bolt his tank down. So it's happy days and over to the lathe very, very shortly. Let's get this threaded boss made to go in the frame to do that rear tank mount. We've just had lunch, so I'm a bit not with it. Not that kind of lunch. Don't do that shit. Anyway, get a 25mm stock, which is the OD that we want, so we ain't got to machine all of it. And we'll get that faced up. And then we'll come in with a centre drill. If I can reach, let me just take the tooling out. Hold on. Get this out of the way for you. Because we're going to drill and tap this M10, which is bigger than I normally do, but it'll match the existing front ones and the great gaping hole in the bracket on the tank. So, bit of lube on the centre drill, because that's what separates us from the animals. Merchandise available in the description below. And then we'll drill that to 8.7. In with the 8.7. So we'll get that started, and then we'll back it out, and off camera we will get our quill to 10mm, and we'll have the very edge of the tool on the face of the part, so we can measure our depth a little more accurately. Bit of lube in there, and the old part is, oh, it's only 14mm, but we need a good bit of depth for the cut-off saw, so 20mm. We'll go 20mm deep. Right. Now we need to machine this OD down to sit in the hole that we're going to make in the frame. I've got 19mm on my drawing, so let's see where we're at. I think this is 25, so we'll just touch on the OD, sorry. Nice and gently, like that. And we'll set our digital readout to 25mm. And we want 10mm long, so let's start a quick clean up. Take us down to 22.5 is more than a quick clean up. But we'll touch on that face and zero our other axes, and then just swap our feed round and give it Billy Big Bollocks down 10mm. So 7, 8, 9 and change, just coming up to 10 is there, and then we'll go 20mm, which is there, same again, down to that shoulder, and now we'll take the last mil off, take it down to 19, which is there, near enough. We're going to use an old saw to drill the hole out, so it's not got to be super precise, it is just a welded in part, but we're not working to exact tolerances. There's a 10mm long, sorted. I'll give that a little chamfer. Quite a good chamfer actually. So it's easy to drop in the hole, and we'll give this a little chamfer, although it's going into round tube, so there's going to be a bit gappy here and there. We don't need to worry too much about a chamfer as a weld prep light. We'll just give it about that, I reckon. Now we'll part it off. We've changed our feed round. Touch on that face, and we want 14mm plus a bit is 17mm. So sorry, we'll touch on that face. We'll zero a fucking readout, would help, and then come along 17mm, which is just about there. Lock off on cross slide. Sorry, lock off the saddle so it don't fuck off left or right on us, and use the power feed to send it with a bit of lube on. Look. There it goes. We've pre-drilled it so we're not going to cut through all of the stock, and then we're going to flip it round, chamfer it and tap it out once it pops off. Not any minute now. Boosh, sorted. Okay. Move my lube pot out of the way off camera. Give that a quick face up to get rid of that. A very gentle little clean. A bit more than that, because that still looks a bit shit. And this is the bit you're going to see, so it's really nicer if we make a decent job. It's still not much better, but that'll do. And then carefully come in with a file and just break that edge, so it looks like we care. Righto, so let's give it a little chamfer, a pre-tap chamfer. So we've got easy access, so we can insert it nicer. Now we've slowed it down, you can feed the machine tap in until it grabs it and let it do its thing all the way in. Nice curly whirlies. Put it in reverse, speed it up a bit and send it back out. That is job done. Quick blow off, and we've made that boss ready to weld in the frame. So we've got the mighty Sterret fucking hog saws, quick cuts. I'm not going to bother filming that, but we have already centre marked through the middle of that bracket, which is pretty fucking straight on the frame there. Surprised me that has. So we'll get that drilled out, ready to set that in, and then check the tank still fits. A couple of tacks, and that's that one done. Another job ticked off the list. I'm going to pile it in. Hold on. Click that off. And it in the lube. And again, that's biting a bit. Get his 5mm hole in first. The reason being that the old saw does have a pilot drill, but the shit, I've tried everything to try and get a decent pilot drill in these things, and they're just notoriously fucking shit for me. Like, I don't know how other people get on, so we'll give it a bit of a start with a 5mm and then pulse it in like that, and then I'll just slow this down, and away she goes, nice and steady. I'm just going to speed it up. In fact, my battery's gone in my fucking drill. I think, yeah, it's cutting out. So I'm going to have to change the battery. Fresh battery. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice and steady away. I'm going to say I'm just filled the tube. You bet your life that, like it has, that the insert fucking falls down the hole. Normally I have to get a magnet and fish it out, but I can just flick that out. Let me jump down. Oh, fuck me, I'm too old for this shit. And then that will, if we've got a fucking, bear with me a sec. That will tap in there nicely. So we'll try the tank on, and if it fits all right, we'll get a couple of welds on, and then we'll just sand them shoulders off a little bit because the bracket's curved, and that's that done. Get a quick tack on. Oh, hold on, false start. There we go. So I'll have all this off, and like I say, I'll sand them edges off and give it another weld on, and the job's a fish. That's another job fucking done. Right, that's just got that. I'm not going to weld it fully at the minute, but we've got that on, and we've knocked the corners off because the bracket that holds it on's got a bit of a curve to it, so it'll fit better. Next on the agenda is getting rid of this pigeon coo that's holding this shitty bracket on, which is going to take all of about 3 seconds, and then we can fit the seat actually using a top quality, my preferred bracketry, which I'll show you shortly. There's no weld underneath, it's only welded one side, but it's easier just to knock it from this side, and I reckon the weld's that bad I can just chisel it off. So we'll have a quick go before we get the grinder on it. That'll do it. Cheers then, thanks for coming. So that was quite fun, wasn't it? Anyway, we've had that off, we've cleaned off the weld, and we're using what I recommend. These are lovely, I buy these in. They're proper engineered, solid as a rock fucking seat brackets that you can depend on, you know. I always say, if your seat comes a gut, so while you're going down the road, you're going to have a bad fucking day, ain't you? And I think I've fitted that upside down. Not that it makes any difference. That upside down, not that. I'll get a couple of tacks on there, and then that's a seat mounted. That's another job fucking ticked off the box. Another box ticked on the job even. I don't know if you can hear the stump plane that's flying above us, but it's fucking... If it starts dropping bombs, I'm going home. Next up is the oil tank that he's going to use as an electrics box. I don't think I've been tasked, I nearly didn't say that right, with modifying anything on this light. I think I've just got to mount it, and he's going to do that himself, but I'll mount it anyway, and then find out. And also, while we're doing boxes, there's an electrics box in here, look, that we're going to put something in place to mount as well while we've got it on the bench. Why not? So it had these brackets on it, which I can only assume he was planning on using somewhere here, like. But the problem I've got is that they're a bit thin for a start off. They're a bit lightweight, like, but they're a bit long. So it would pull the electrics box right back, not in the middle of the gap between this cross piece and that upright. So I'm going to move it slightly forward with some of my brackets, which are a bit thicker and a bit stronger for it, like. Right, so we've got a file guide form tool, 1 inch diameter, that we can follow. Josh is just off camera. He'd already cut a load of these and drilled them, but he's opened it out to 10mm because the bolts on the tank are 10mm. We'll give this a good roundy rounder. Notice the distinct lack of PPE. Safety first. There we go, just follow that form until we hit it. Catch the middle. Get all the sanding marks going one way so it looks nice and pretty. And that's one edge done, one to go. That'll do. So here's them brackets rounded off and in place. And I'm lining it up here and trusting that I might need to roll it forward a little bit. There's oil fittings on it that are catching the frame, but they won't be there. They'll be gone, won't they? So we don't need to worry too much about that. I'm going to get a tack on one of these brackets, and then we can have a proper look. Right, it's a bit hard work to do one-handed, so bear with. Mind your eyes. And again, mind your eyes. So that should hold that near enough in place. It needs to go forward a bit this side. So I've not quite got that. It's going to have to come off and be moved. Right, that'll do. Okay, so take two. We've got to actually clean that up and put it in the right fucking place. Now we've got an even gap that I'm going to struggle to show you, but we have with this bottom rail and maybe that top rail. I've not stood up high enough to eye that up properly, but it's pretty fucking straight. The one thing I would probably do if it were me is put some little spacers in just to drop it down a little bit, just to give us a gap under there. But I didn't want to make brackets with a step in them, and if I drop the brackets anymore they'd be hanging off the bottom of the tube, and that would be fucking daft. So that is preliminary mounted. Let's look at the electrics box. So onto the electrics box, what we've done, we've determined where it needs to sit on the bike, and we're going to put a couple of cross braces in with M8 thread in the cross braces. So we've drilled those out, found the centre, come in 25mm from each end, drilled them out 8.5mm, and now Josh is just drilling, getting ready to tap the two pieces that are going to go across here. Actually, let me just check that one of them's not going to hit the backbone. So that's going to line up about there. Yeah, we're going to miss. Where that hole is not where this centre post, not backbone, where the centre post is. We need to keep it this side of the frame because the chain runs down this side. Oh, there's the sprocket. So we need to avoid the sprocket. That's rather important. So we'll wait until their straps are made and then bolt them to this, drop that in, and it will be reversible. So if Fingerbob wants his flaps at the back so he can gain access, and that's good, or if he wants his lid to the front so he can gain access, that's good. It's entirely up to him. So with those two bits of inch strap drilled and tapped, we've put some bolts through, we've sat that down, we've made sure that it sits square, and we've made sure that there's enough clearance for the chain. I can just get a few tacks on and then that's done. So, one right. There we go, hold on. Eyes. And then I'll get some around the back that you won't be able to see, so that's that pretty much. Eyes. And that's that really. Sorted. Righto, let's have a quick recap then. I just jumped off the bench. Fucking hell, me ingrown toenails hurting like a cunt. I chopped it out yesterday. So we've done the back mounts using the existing brackets that we cleaned up and sorted and made fit. The same with these, we made some threaded ones. Everything new for the front apart from the rubbers. And we modified what we got to fit the bottom. So the engine is held in 4 places, which is probably one more than it needs, to be fair. So it ain't going any fucking where. We've done the tank mounts with this bracket that I made previously for Fingerbob. We've cleaned it up and welded it on, and we've put a nice little threaded insert that we've rounded to take this big M10 bolt in the back, so that's not going any fucking where. We've taken the shitty pressed steel off here that fell off. We've, upset the pigeon curve a little bit there. Knocked that off, cleaned it up and put one of these on that I really like, the proper solid. We have mounted his electrics box that is an oil tank. I don't know what we're doing about cleaning this shit up. I'll speak to him at some stage, and I'm going to recommend spacing it down 1/2 inch or so. And we have mounted the electrics box on them sturdy brackets, so that's not going anywhere. There is still a few bits and bobs to do, like the back mudguard and the stays, the foot pegs, the oil cooler mount, the bearing cups for the frame, and probably a couple of other bits, but that's a good job. We've done good in the last couple of days there, so I'm happy days. I'm going to grab my thumbnail right now, I think, and go from there. So there you go, the fucking hell, look at the statement like Benny Hill. Right, it just leaves me as always to say thanks for watching. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. Consider joining, subscribing and all that shizzle, yeah. Check out the bump in the description below, and I will catch you on the next one. Big love, everyone, and I will see you soon.